It is 7:30 a.m. and I've been half an hour caffeine free. That might not sound like a lot, but normally I drink coffee within the first 10 minutes of being awake, so this is a grand victory and only the first half hour of the rest of my life. So, Shannon, welcome on our podcast. We're very grateful to have you here to talk about your journey of giving up coffee. Who would have thought, after all these years of trying, that I would finally succeed at living a caffeine-free life? No more coffee for the rest of your life? Whoa, hold on there. Just one day at a time, okay? So what made you want to quit coffee in the first place? I think the main reason for wanting to give up coffee for me was the fact that I felt dependent on it. And since I quit alcohol 10 years ago, I was very relieved to not have any substance dependency. And then I realized that I still was dependent on my daily cup of coffee. And so I just wanted to eliminate those dependencies from my life altogether because they kind of have a hold over my life. I get grumpy, I get mood swings when I don't have my morning coffee right away. So it dictates my mood. And I don't like something to have that kind of control over myself. And it was also an obsession. Like the first thing in the morning, I would go to the kitchen and brew myself a cup of coffee. And if anything got in between me and my coffee in that moment, I would be very upset. Wow. And of course, there's also the energy spikes. Like coffee gives you a nice boost. It helps your brain wake up. But I always felt like it was stealing energy from the future. I might have a morning that's quite energized and productive, and then in the afternoon, I'm paying for that. And I was just looking forward to having consistent energy throughout the day. And I'm someone who's very sensitive to the effects of caffeine. Like when I overdo it and have 3 cups instead of 2, for example, then I just end up bouncing off the walls. Like I'm so overly energized that it's no fun. Yeah, no, that sounds rough. But I'd actually tried quitting coffee once before, years ago, and I think I wasn't quite ready for it yet. Because technically I went 1 month without coffee, but my mindset wasn't that I would quit coffee entirely. It was more like I don't want the daily dependency. So it's okay if I drink coffee on the weekends, but then during the week I want to be caffeine free. And being the good addict that I am, like with alcohol, it's all or nothing. And so with coffee, I should have had the same approach. What started happening was after the initial withdrawal symptoms, I got through that. I had a week no coffee, and then in the weekend it was like, oh my God, the reward. That wasn't a very effective strategy for me. I guess the reasoning in my mind was kind of like, I've already given up alcohol. I've already given up so much. Like, let me have this one thing. Right. Because I wasn't ready to let go, I just held on to these things as excuses. And I even told myself, like, if I really have to quit one day for either health reasons or like a pregnancy or something like that, then that will be my motivating factor to finally give it up. So is it really that bad to still have coffee in my life today if one day down the line I'm gonna give it up anyway? I also wondered if I quit coffee because it's so high in antioxidants, like where would I get my antioxidants from? Blueberries? So what made you want to try it again? Honestly, it almost felt as if the world was conspiring in my favor to quit caffeine. For example, my favorite soy milk had been off the shelves for weeks, and without it, my daily latte just wasn't tasting as good. So I wasn't enjoying my coffee anymore. So that already kind of lowered the threshold a little bit. And at the same time, I was reading a book about spirituality, and almost towards the end of the book, there was this passage about caffeine playing a role in blocking the energy that we can receive from the universe, like creative energy forces and such. When I read that, I started wondering, what if I've been feeling so lethargic all these years and so uninspired so often? Like, what if all these things that I struggle with for a long time are all because of coffee. So I read that on a Sunday, and then I know myself well enough that I didn't tell myself, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna quit, because if I tell myself that, then what happens instead is the next day I'll probably end up drinking twice as much coffee. So I was just like letting it marinate and not making any promises. And something happened the next day. I woke up on Monday and I just realized that I don't need a coffee right now. I don't have to run to the kitchen and make myself a cup. So why don't I just try not doing that? It was crazy because it just felt like the obsession was somehow lifted. I've heard people share about that in the meetings of AA, where their obsession about drinking was suddenly gone, and it wasn't like that for me at all in recovery. So I didn't expect that with coffee, but I just felt like I didn't need it. Could you walk us through what it was like giving up coffee, like from day one? What did you experience? Day one was surprisingly easy. I honestly have to say it was deceptively easy, because the first 2 days I was feeling more energy. I wasn't feeling like lethargic in the absence of caffeine. I had so much energy that I almost didn't know what to do with it. And I even slept better. Good morning. This is coffee-free day attempt number 1. We'll see how it goes, but I woke up this morning feeling ready to give it a try for real, and I'm really, really looking forward to succeeding this time. So right now I'm feeling perfectly fine about it. I don't feel like I need a caffeine boost to start my day. I did make myself a nice warm coconut milk beverage just to kind of stick to that ritual of making a nice warm beverage in the morning, which is a big part of what drinking coffee is about for me. So I'll try to check in and kind of compare how my clarity and mental energy are doing compared to when I am drinking coffee. So I'm going on hour 3 of no caffeine, and so far, like, my body has a lot of energy, but in my head I feel a bit like overly energized or frazzled. So I'm gonna have to find a way to center my head and kind of find my zen, my inner peace. Okay, so it's now 2:30 p.m. and some side effects have started to kick in. Little headache going on, but still caffeine free. And I normally don't drink coffee in the afternoon anyway, so the cravings are not there. But we'll see how the headache goes. On day 2, it was time for me to hide my coffee paraphernalia, because just seeing it lying around, like my percolator and my coffee grounds, was starting to become a trigger. And what I learned from my recovery from alcoholism is that, people, places, and things, you want to not expose yourself to those trigger points to maximize your chances of success. I also allowed myself the space to go through what I had to go through. So I was giving myself a lot of self-love and just creating a safe space for myself to go through whatever was going to happen. So if I was going to be incapacitated by withdrawal, then I wouldn't beat myself up about it and just kind of allow for the process to happen. Good morning. So today is day 2 of no caffeine. Yesterday I had a decaf latte as a decoy to trick my mind into thinking it was getting its usual coffee. Around late afternoon I started getting a headache, and that's lingered, and I woke up with it again today. So we'll see how long that stays present. But yeah, I'm still feeling strong. Today is day 3 without caffeine, and I think it's the first morning where I'm feeling a little bit cloudy, like foggy brain. On day 4 is when withdrawal actually started for me. I had these sudden bouts of like profuse sweating, like my whole body, what I imagine hot flashes in menopause would be like. My headaches were very mild. This is day 4 of no caffeine, and I'm still going strong, still have a slight headache in the background. But this morning I had a cup of hot cocoa, and I'm thinking that I should skip the chocolate for the time being because it has traces of caffeine, and I just want to have a fresh, clean slate. And after the hot cocoa, I felt a little bit like my heart rate increased or something. So I don't want to drink anything that's going to affect my inner state of being. So I'm gonna take it a bit more easy and choose my morning drinks more wisely. On day 5, I started feeling these full body aches, which is kind of like when you have a really bad flu, but times 10. Wow. Like muscle joint aches, like just all around intense achiness. And I actually had to research this because I thought maybe I am coming down with a virus, but I did find some articles online of people detoxing from caffeine who experienced the same symptoms. So that gave me a little bit of comfort that at least this is a normal part of detoxing and probably nothing else is going on here. I also started getting these muscle spasms and twitches, so I feel like my body was restoring its inner chemical balance. I kept a journal log of the day-to-day withdrawal symptoms, and I just want to make sure that I'm accurate. So I'm going to read from the notes. Okay. So on day 6, the thinking is a bit strained. Muscle aches are intense, and had to take ibuprofen to fall asleep. So I'm not someone who easily resorts to medication, but I was starting to wake up in the middle of the night because of the body aches, and then I couldn't sleep again for hours. And I just wanted to be able to function the next day. So in order to catch a little bit of sleep, I finally resorted to taking some ibuprofen. Good morning. No caffeine, day 6. Who knew that giving up coffee could lead to full body inflammation? The past 2 days have been really weird because I have a whole body ache, and I jumped online to look if this could be withdrawal related, and definitely seems that it's a high possibility. And yeah, so it feels the same as when you're getting a cold or flu and your whole body aches. But I have no cold or flu symptoms. It's just the full body aches. So I can't wait for that phase to be over and see what my normal caffeine-free life will look like. So on day 8 was actually the first time that I had to apply myself. Before that, I was able to just kind of work at home by myself, but on day 8 I had to work with other people and apply my full attention for 3 hours nonstop, and that really took a toll on me. Like I could just feel myself fading away, and by the final hour there was just nothing left of me, like the perfect picture of a zombie. And I don't know how I got through that, and yeah. So I guess if I could give you any advice if you're trying to give up caffeine, it's that if possible at all, try to give yourself a week with minimum responsibility so that you can detox in a safe space without having the pressures to perform, so that you don't end up reaching for a cup of coffee or a caffeinated beverage in order to to cope. Like plan it when you have a week off from work, or get a support system to help deal with parenting obligations, or like just take some steps to give yourself the freedom to really give yourself a good chance of succeeding. So I started doing research, and I found that the withdrawal symptoms usually lasted from day 2 to day 9. And so I was eagerly awaiting day 9. and wondering if the statistics would be true for me. And so on day 9, I actually did start to notice the full body aches were getting a little less intense. The headache was still the same, but at least it didn't get worse. And on day 10, I became cautiously optimistic. I had the same symptoms, but a lot milder. Today marks caffeine-free day 10. I've skipped a couple of days of reporting how I'm feeling because it felt like every day was just the same, and I just didn't want to bother repeating myself, and I was just feeling not so great. They say day 2 to 9 is kind of like the worst of it, and I'm on day 10, so it'd be nice if I could say that I was completely withdrawal symptom free, but I'm not. But I do have more mental clarity, less brain lethargy, even though I'm stumbling over my words right now. And the full body aches that are, quite frankly, kind of puzzling still to me, have become less. I don't have to take painkillers for them anymore. But anyway, I still feel like I have a long way to go to really feel like I'm rebalanced to the old original Shannon, the pre-coffee Shannon. And on day 14, 2 weeks caffeine free, I went to bed on time and I woke up feeling rested. No more achy body, no more headache. Besides some mild anxiety and some general cravings for caffeine, I can honestly say that after 2 weeks, I was withdrawal free. So right now, I'm 6 weeks caffeine free. I wish that I could say that my thinking is better than before coffee, but I still have brain fog during some parts of the day when I'm just too spent. So it's not like I've eliminated that. But what I don't have is the crazy energy spikes and dips, and so I'm a lot more balanced now with my energy. And I don't have that dependency. That is a blessing. I don't have that must, that need, like I can't get through the day without this beverage. But one thing that I did that helped me was to keep the ritual of a hot beverage in my day, because a big part of what I liked about coffee was the ritual. So now I'll make myself a hot cup of chocolate or chai teas, although you have to be careful with the caffeine in black teas and things like that. And I've tried decaf beverages when I go to cafes, but one of them gave me a slight buzz, and so I don't really trust that decaf is fully decaf. Some have a different process of removing the caffeine, and some are more effective than others. So I have to be very careful with that so then I don't accidentally caffeinate myself and undo all my hard work. But keeping the ritual in there has been very helpful for me, because then I don't feel like I'm missing out. And my sleep pattern is just fine. I wish I had eliminated my afternoon naps, but I'm not there quite yet. Though they are shorter, I need less of an energy reboot in the afternoon than I used to when I drank coffee. And I feel at 6 weeks caffeine free, I still have a long way to go to explore what my new base energy levels really are. So that might still change down the line. And the whole reason of quitting coffee is to have steady energy. So for me, that's the main goal. And I continue to seek for better sleep patterns to find more consistent, stable energy throughout my day. A note of caution would be to watch out for cola. I had this one night where I had a hard time falling asleep. I just tossed and turned for 2 hours, and then it hit me. I had Coca-Cola earlier that afternoon. I went online and I looked at exactly how much caffeine is in Coca-Cola anyway, and I was shocked to find that it's about 50% of the average cup of coffee. So no wonder that I couldn't sleep. When you quit coffee, you kind of have to be mindful of hidden caffeine in products where you don't think there's a significant amount of caffeine. So there you have it. That is my coffee quitting story. If I could leave you with one message, it's that if I can do it, so can you. But also, If you can do it by tapering off, then I would highly recommend that. For me, it's all or nothing, so tapering off slowly would not have worked for me. But the physical withdrawal symptoms were so intense that I wish I would have been able to do it that way. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you for listening, and I hope that this inspires you to give it a try. It's been very insightful. And if today's not the day, then just keep trying and set yourself up for success. That's my coffee. Sorry, it's decaf, right? The mic stopped working, and I noticed it 45 minutes into the recording, and it had stopped at minute 1. So, take 2. Oh my God. That was good practice. I'm all warmed up now. Yeah,